Welcome back. All right, so 11 games tonight. Really didn't have much trouble keeping up. I appreciate the low-scoring games that we saw tonight, and there were some games that felt like playoff games. Now, we're going to start off with one that didn't feel like a playoff game, but I'll say this, it was quick. Chicago and Buffalo went fast. So it's Soderblom versus Luukkonen, as Luukkonen continues to rack up some really good numbers recently. Olofsson has a turnover chance that's held. The shots are 7-1 Buffalo, 4 minutes in. There's a power play for the Sabres. That's killed off. Sabres go back to the power play. Dahlin has a shot that's blocked. It's cleared out. That power play's killed off as well. Sabres press are kept to the outside. Seth Jones is denied on a rush. And again, Luukkonen pretty sharp in this one. And it was a fast period of hockey. There's no score after one. Second period. Early press by Chicago. Entwistle takes a shot to the abdomen. That looked like it sucked. We get a power play for the Hawks. Vlasic has a shot that's blocked. It's cleared out. It's killed. But Dahlin plays the puck before he steps out of the box. It's one of those things where you don't think about it. The puck's right there, door's open, you want to play it. So, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. So, Dickinson has a shot that's caught and held. That power play's killed off as well. Shots are 5-2 for Chicago at 8 minutes. We get a power play then for Buffalo. There's a near miss for Quinn as it comes to an end, and then Girgensons scores to put Buffalo on the board. Ryan Johnson and Krebs with the assists at 12:27. And that one just goes through Soderblom. 3:48 left. The Hawks get another power play. That's killed off. It's 1-0 Buffalo after 2. Third period, early power play for Buffalo. It's killed off, just the one shot. However, right after it comes to an end at 2:55, Peterka scores from Ryan Johnson and Quinn, and he put that in off the goalie's mask. So getting creative there. Shots are 4-0 Buffalo at 4.5 minutes. We get a power play for Buffalo. 5-minute power play. I was kind of surprised they upheld the 5 minutes when they reviewed it. I thought it was probably going to be 2. Kurashev stays in the box, though. So, anyways, early in the 5-minute power play, Buffalo scores. Dahlin gets that one from Middlestad and Tuck at 6:06. And it was a point shot that Vlasic tipped nicely into his own net by accident. Then there's a shorthanded Kachuk chance that's held. The Hawks do kill off the rest of the major to keep it somewhat close, but the shots tell you it really wasn't. Shots are 10-4 for Buffalo with 6.5 minutes left. The Hawks get another power play. That's killed off as well. Your final score is 3-0. Buffalo's almost back to 500. They're 20-21-4. I'm not saying it. Chicago 12-30-2 with the loss. Shots on net 13-4 Buffalo in the first, 8-7 Chicago in the second, 11-7 Buffalo in the third. Final shots 31-19 for Buffalo. Power plays Chicago 0 for 4, Buffalo 1 for 6. The hits 25-14 Chicago. Soderblom saves 28 out of 31, and Luukkonen saved all 19 shots for, I mean, it's a relatively easy shutout, but it's a shutout. So good on Luukkonen, and his numbers continue to get better. All right, next up, Colorado and Boston. And this is the best game I've seen Boston play in weeks. It has been a long time. This was a solid game. The second period made me a little bit nervous, but yeah, in that third period. So let's go through it. It's Georgiev versus Swayman. And 44 seconds in, Boston steals a puck, and Pastrnak buries it. Coyle with the assist, and he just turns and wires it. So Pastrnak off to a good start. The Avs look to respond. JVR then has a turnover chance. That's saved. And at 4:58, Lauko buries one in close to put Boston ahead 2-0. Frederick and Geekie with the assists. We then get a power play for Colorado. That's killed off. Not long after it comes to an end, though, Wood scores to put Colorado on the board. Taves and Malinsky with the assists at 7:32. Rantanen to McKinnon. There's a near miss there. Wood's then denied on a fast break. Marchand can't bury one in close. Bruins press with 7.5 minutes left. Boston makes it 3-1. It looked offside to me. When they challenged it, I took it off the board. It counted. Even Jim Montgomery looked absolutely shocked that that goal counted. So not only does that count to make it 3-1, but now Boston's on a power play. The goal was DeBrusk from Wotherspoon and Zacha at 14:52. I haven't seen the official explanation of how that was onside, but they called it onside. So the Avs do kill that off. Boston presses after it's done, but it's 3-1 Boston after the first. Second period, Geekie has a net feed that's picked off. Shots are 3-2 for Colorado at 3.5 minutes. The Avs press at 4 minutes. Pastrnak then has a near miss on a net drive. DeBrusk has a rush chance. That's held. Shots are 11-5 for Colorado with 7.5 minutes left. And at 16:20, they get on the board. McKinnon scores from Manson and Makar. That is point number 299 for Cale Makar. Everybody's hitting milestones right now. So again, if people are like, I want to see a milestone video for, I would just be doing milestone videos for the next week. So Yeah, McKinnon buried a loose puck there to get them within a goal. Then with 1:45 left, there's a power play for Boston, but we end up with 57 seconds of 4-on-4 that ends that. So to start the third period, everything gets killed off. The shots are only one apiece, 2.5 minutes in. Swayman holds after a dangerous turnover by Boston. Bruins press at 6 minutes. The Avs get some pressure of their own at 9.5 minutes. A net feed to O'Connor. There's a near miss there. Pastrnak has a long shot that's held with 4:35 left. Boston goes to the power play, and they would score on it late in the power play at 17:24. It is Pastrnak tipping one in close. DeBrusk with the assist there. Nice goal by Pastrnak. The goalie pull happens with 1:37 left, and at 19:38, Pastrnak hits the empty net. Coyle with the assist on that as well, so that's the hat trick, the first of a few hat tricks tonight in the NHL. Score 5-2 for Boston. They go to 27-8-9 with the victory. The Avs 29-14-3 with the loss. Shots on net 14-12 Boston in the first, 16-8 Colorado in the second, 9-4 Boston in the third. And that's what really impressed me. Colorado only had 4 shots in the third. Final shots 32-31 for the Avs. Power plays Colorado 0 for 2, Boston 1 for 3. The hits 24-20 for Colorado. Georgiev 26 saves on 30 shots, and Swayman 30 saves on 32 shots. Another good start for Swayman. All right, next up, Montreal and Ottawa. Who saw this one coming? So Montreal's winning streak ends at 2. They're back at 500 because that's where they like to be, I guess. So it's Primo versus Korpisalo. Early edge for the Habs. The Sens press, but they can't get to the net. Tkachuk has a rush chance that's held. The shot 7.5 minutes in, or 4-2 for Ottawa, and they would score first. Tkachuk gets a goal on a rush after Slavkovsky hit the crossbar at the other end. So Greg and Zub with the assists at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Chartier nearly adds one. Caulfield has a shot that's blocked by Sanderson. And then Stützle with what's his first goal since December the 23rd. He scores from Zub at 11:07. So Artyom Zub with 2 assists in the first period. Habs are up to 8 minutes without a shot, too, shortly after that. There was a post for Joseph from the slot, and then they finally get that first shot in a while, and Montreal's first shot in a while goes in. It's Caulfield from Monahan at 13:25. We then had a fight between Pizzetta and McEwen, and it's 2-1 for Ottawa after one. Second period. Good forechecking by the Sens. The teams exchange rushes. Suzuki has a rush chance that's held. Shots are 3-1 for Ottawa, 5 minutes in. The Habs press, but they can't get to the net. And then at 9:51, Chartier scores from Bernard Docker. So it's 3-1, and it looks like the lineup changes Jacques Martin made work today. Brandstrom has a shot that's held. It's really all Sens at this point of the game. The Habs then press, but the Sens block. They end up being forced to ice it in order to get a whistle there. We get a power play from Montreal. That's killed off. The Habs press after it's done, but Tarasenko scores at 18:54. He buries one on a one-timer from the right circle. Tkachuk and Stützle with the assists. Moving Tarasenko down to the third line, he's going to want to push himself back into that top 6, so it makes some sense. 52 seconds left. The Habs with a power play. The Sens would score. There's a goalie interference challenge, and so it stays 4-1. So it's 4-1 after 2 periods. Third period, the Sens finished the kill. So yeah, the Habs finished the kill. It was a shorthanded goal that came off the board. And then at 1:41, Joseph with a one-timer from the slot scores from Tim Stützle. We then get a power play for the Sens. That's killed off. The shots are 4-2 Ottawa at 6 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Montreal pulls the goalie trying, and the empty netter is scored by Kelly from Sanderson at 12:26. The Habs get a power play. That's killed off. And then at 15:16, Michael Pizzetta gets the second goal of the game just to keep a no-mercy magnet off the board. There were no no-mercy games tonight. 3:45 left. The Sens get a power play. That just helps them bring it home. Your final score is 6-2 for Ottawa. They go to 16-24 with the win. And again, Montreal with the loss, 19-19-7. They like 500. Shots on net, 17-6 Ottawa in the first, 13-11 Ottawa in the second, 7-6 Ottawa in the third. They outshoot Montreal 37-23. Power plays, Montreal 0 for 4, Ottawa 0 for 2. The hits 21-15 for the Sens. Primo saves 31 out of 36. Good game for Korpisalo. He needed that. 21 saves on 23 shots. All right, next up, Dallas and Philly. Well, it's more like Ottinger versus Philly. Dallas was never in this game. Never. It's Ottinger versus Ersson. Sagan had an early 2-on-1. There's a near miss there. That generated the only shot of the first period for Dallas. Not even kidding. Shots are 2-1 Flyers 3 minutes in. The Flyers press at 6.5 minutes. Really strong forechecking by Philadelphia, too. Like, seriously, if not for that result there, I think I'd be wearing a Flyers jersey tonight because that win was really impressive. More Flyers pressure at 9 minutes. The Stars again stuck on one shot. And Ottinger's the only reason that this game isn't like 4-0 already. The wall of orange in the Flyers zone, anytime Dallas gets close to getting any kind of pressure, was impressive. Just Tortorella has them all pulling in the same direction. Every Flyer's doing the same thing on the ice. It is kind of fun to watch. So toe save on Cates and close. The Flyers press with 3 minutes left. Duchesne to Sagan. There's a near miss there. Of course, doesn't hit the net because Dallas had their one shot already. And then Sean Walker scores from Frost and Farabee at 19 minutes. So it's 1-0 for Philly after one. Second period, early power play for Dallas. Not only is it killed off, no shots, so they don't get a shot out of that. And then at 3:03, Tippett scores to make it 2-0. Couturier with the assist there. And then the Flyers press for another. Again, the Stars stuck on one shot in the entire game. Power play for Philly. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Lindell. He's denied twice. He doubled the shot total previous to that one because they'd had one shot and he got two. And that's kind of the best run that Dallas had to that point, and it's kind of sad. That power play's killed off. The Stars rush the other way, but again, it's relentless checking by Philly. Both back checking, forechecking, and just working the body. There was only 14 registered hits by Philly. I'm not sure what game people are watching sometimes when I see those hit totals. I thought Philly was playing a really good... I mean, a lot of it's board battles too, so it may not count as hits, but they were definitely being physical out there. Power play for the Flyers. That's killed off, and then Dallas gets on the board. It is Sagan from Duchesne at 12:42, so Sagan and Duchesne stay hot. Farabee nearly adds one shortly thereafter, though, so the Flyers not at all deterred by the fact the score's gotten close. Flyers not giving up any extended pressures either for Dallas. Sagan gets denied on a rush. Walker was then robbed. Ottinger holds on there. With 53.4 seconds left, the Flyers get a power play. So that rolls over into the third, and they score on it. It is Atkinson with the power play goal. Frost and Sanheim with the assist of 44 seconds. It's 3-1 for Philly, and Atkinson burying a rebound there. Atkinson then has a one-timer that's held as Philly just keeps it up. Robertson has a shot that's blocked as the Stars get some pressure. They end up drawing a power play. That's killed off. Forster has a rush chance that's blocked. He was out of the box at the time. Power play for the Flyers. That's killed off. And we end up with a penalty shot. Scott Lawton, he scores on it at 9:16 to make it 4-1. And the Flyers really controlling the entire game. I don't know how else to put this. This was a full 60 minutes. Tippett would score at 14:30. He roofs one from in close. That's his second goal of the game. The Flyers win this one 5-1. It was never in doubt. They go to 25-14-6 with the win. They're within 2 points of first in the division. Just let that sink in. They are 2 points behind first place in the Metro. Dallas 26-13-5 with the loss. Shots on net 14-1 Philly in the first, 16-8 Philly in the second, 13-6 Philly in the third. They outshoot Dallas 43-15. Power plays Dallas 0 for 2, the Flyers 1 for 4. The hits 15-14 Dallas. Ottinger did the best he could. He saved 38 out of 43. And Ersson, not busy. 14 saves on 15 shots, but sharp when he had to be. And now I need to change boards. So we had one game with a bunch of goals in it. Outside of that, the scoring was relatively low tonight. And the Wild, they really are in trouble. So while Bill Guerin may believe that they can make a run, I don't see it. I really don't. It's Gustafsson versus Vasilevsky. Shots are 3-2 for Tampa at 3.5 minutes. But it's a tic-tac-toe goal that puts Minnesota ahead at 5:17. It's Eriksson Ek from Faber and Middleton. And that is the first goal for Eriksson in 11 games. I had a hard time reading my own writing there. Stupid entertainment guy. But at 6:05, Tampa Bay answers. It's Hedman from point and Kucherov. The Wild then press. Tampa Bay blocks. Point fires one wide as Tampa Bay presses. Eriksson Ek's denied on a 2-on-1 rush. Dewar misses one high after a rush. 1:44 left. Bolts get a power play. There's a shorthanded chance for Dewar. That gets held. It's 1-1 after one. But early in the second period, at 16 seconds, Cirelli scores on the power play from Point and Hedman. He puts that in on a rush as the power play came to an end. Kucherov's then denied in alone, and at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, Merrill gets his first NHL goal. He scores that one from Sherry. That was the fourth shot of the period for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Minnesota had none to this stage. And Minnesota calls a timeout because they're down 3-1, and you got to talk something over. Pressed by the Wild at 6.5 minutes, but they're kept to the outside. The shots are 6-5 for the Wild at 9 minutes. So the Wild getting some momentum after that timeout. Bolts press at the half. Duhaime's denied on a rush. Things get kind of pushy. And then, also off of a rush, a tic-tac-toe play. Rossi scores from Middleton and Kaprizov at 10:52. Suddenly it's a 3-2 game. The Bolts press with 8 minutes left, and eventually they score. Point scores from Kucherov at 12:41. And it was a great save on Kucherov, and the rebound goes to Point, who buries it. So no chance for Gustafsson there. And then at 19:43, so in the final minute, Middleton comes in and pinches on the rush. He scores. He roofs one from Rossi and Zuccarello. So it's 4-3 after 2. It does not stay that way for long. At 1:09, Stamkos scores on the power play from Kucherov and Hedman. That is assist number 500 in the career of Kucherov, who recently hit 800 points. So Kucherov continues to rack up the numbers. Wild nearly answer. We get a power play for Minnesota. That's killed off. And then the Bolts go to the power play, and late in it at 6:59, Asimont scores the power play marker from Cirelli and Radish. Cirelli I spelled with a Y at the end. No idea why. The Wild press with 9 minutes left, because I spelled it right elsewhere on the board. We get a power play for Minnesota. That's killed off. And then at 17:52, Cirelli, spelled right, scores from Hagel and Hedman. So 7-3. Yeah. 23-17-5 record now for Tampa Bay with the win. The 80s Magnets on the board. The Wild 18-21-5 with the loss. Shots on net 11 apiece in the first, 14-10 Tampa in the second, 13-12 Tampa in the third. Final shots 38-33 for Tampa. Power plays Minnesota 0 for 2, Tampa Bay 3 for 3. The hits 22-21 Tampa Bay. Gustafsson saved 31 out of 38. It's an ugly stat line. I don't know how many I'd put on Gustafsson. Vasilevsky 30 saves on 33 shots. And Tampa Bay, yep, they're definitely in the mix when it comes to the playoffs in the East, to no one's surprise. Next up, St. Louis and Washington. So Binnington versus Lindgren, and Ovechkin back in the game tonight. Early jump for the Capitals. The Blues press at a minute and a half, but they're kept to the outside. 3.5 minutes in, the Blues have the only shot on net. So it was obvious this was a Capitals game early in it. Hayes has an in-close chance that deflects out. We get a power play for the Caps, and they score on it. Their power play getting better, a little bit better each time. Oshie wires this one from the slot. Pacioretty with the assist at 10:24. If you don't have TJ Oshie in your fantasy and you're trying to pick up somebody who might be able to get you some goals, right now Oshie's playing pretty well because he had a good night tonight. A net feed to Neighbors, there's a near miss there, and then there's a 4-minute power play for the St. Louis Blues. There was a shorthanded near miss for Ferrari, and that power play's killed off. But with at 17:54, Nathan Walker scores. He gets that one from Leddy and Parayko to tie it up. With 10 seconds left, the Caps get a power play. So we're rolling into the second period with the score 1-1. Pacioretty has a shot that's kicked aside. The Blues finish the kill, but at 3:32, Aube-Kubel puts Washington ahead. Lapierre and Carlson with the assists. Caps then press at 5 minutes. They're playing their game. We get a power play for the Blues. That's killed off. The shots are 7-2 Capitals at 9.5 minutes. The Caps draw another power play, and Oshie scores on this one too. Strome and Pacioretty with the assists at 10:27. He wires that one from the slot. Oshie's feeling it right now, and it's nice to see because up until some recent games here, he had not had good stats this season. So the Blues get a power play. That's killed off. McMichael's then denied and close. It's cleared out. 3:26 left. Blues go back to the power play. Shen has a screenshot. That's held. We get 4 seconds of 4-on-4, and then it becomes a Caps power play. So that rolls over into the third period. The Blues do finish the kill, but at 34 seconds, shortly after that power play is done, Strome scores from Ovechkin and Carlson. And on that play, it's that they're overcompensating. They're over-checking on Ovechkin, which is odd. So is Ovechkin not scoring goals because teams are just, watching him a little bit extra close? Or are teams overreacting to Ovechkin at this point, and they should be looking at other guys on the ice because Ovechkin's scoring has slowed down? It's just one of those things. So the Caps press at 2 minutes, but the Blues would get one back. Falk scores from Alexandrov and Walker at 4:01, and then the Blues look for another. The shots are 3-2 in favor of the Blues at 9 minutes, which is good, but at the same time, they've only got 3 shots 9 minutes into the period. Jensen has a shot that's held as the Caps press. McMichael has a net drive that's saved. The goalie pull happens with 2:54 left, which allows Oshie to hit the empty net for the hat trick. Ferrari with the assist at 19:40. Washington wins this one 5-2. They go to 22-15-6 with the win. St. Louis 21-20-2 with the loss. Shots on net 8 apiece in the first, 10-7 Washington in the second, 8-5 Washington in the third. Final shots 26-20. Washington's very good at just keeping the shot totals down on both sides. Power plays 0 for 5 for St. Louis, 2 for 4 for Washington. Hits 9 to 7 for Washington. Binnington 21 saves on 25 shots, and Charlie Lindgren 18 saves on 20 shots. Not overly busy, but when he had to be, he was good. All right, next up, Toronto and Calgary. So this is the weird thing about Toronto. If they have a lead, you can kind of turn the game off and go, damn it, they lost again. And people will look at you and go, but Toronto's ahead. And you're going to be like, watch Toronto games. Whereas if Toronto's behind, you're going to be like, hey, they're going to win. This is just the absolute insanity of the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. So it's Jones versus Vladar. The shots are 3-1 Flames, a minute and a half in. They get off to a very good start. Uyghur fires one wide as the Flames press. Mangiapane's denied from the slot. Eventually, they score first at 10:52 at Sharangovich from Anderson and Huberdeau. Now, the Leafs do press for a response, but we get a power play for Calgary, and they score on it. It's former Leaf Kadri getting the goal from Lindholm and Huberdeau at 15:23. And Kadri earlier today, when interviewed, said, yeah, teams get up for games against Toronto. You really want to beat Toronto. So at 18:23, Toronto answers. It's a snipe from the slot. It's Matthews, who's just ridiculous with the goal scoring right now. Nylander and McMahon with the assists. Next, Matthews shots fired wide. Pospisil gets shaken up along the boards. He was tangled up with Matthews. It was an awkward play. There was no ugly action by Matthews on it. Pospisil would exit. Hopefully he's all right. But it's 2-1 Calgary after the first. Second period, Flames are controlling early, but Toronto would tie it. Austin Matthews buries a puck during a delayed call. So at 4:08, it's Matthews from Nylander and Marner. We're in a 2-2 tie. Shots are 3-2 for the Leafs at 5.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. There's a power play for Toronto. It starts as a 4-on-3, and they score during the 4-on-3 power play. Marner from Nylander and Matthews at 7:44, and it was a really nice cross-ice pass and buried. Leafs press at 9.5 minutes. There's a near miss for Hanifin. That's cleared out. Kadri's denied twice in close as Martin Jones having another good game. Shots are 10-6 Toronto with 8 minutes left, and then at 13:39, Matthews backhands a rebound in for the hat trick. So, yeah, Matthews with 4 points in this game. He's a part of every goal. Leafs press for another. Mangiapane scores. It's waved off. It's reviewed, and it counts. Mangiapane from Backlund and Hanifin at 17:53. It took a while for them to determine whether or not it should have counted. Flames press to tie it, but it's 4-3 after 2. Third period. The question becomes, can the Leafs hold a third period lead? Because they failed to their last 3 times out. Flames press at 2.5 minutes. We have momentum for Calgary, and the Leafs are getting pinned down. Then the Leafs get some pressure at 7.5 minutes. The Flames tie. Toronto calls a timeout. Sheldon Keefe calls a timeout so they can talk it over with the crew upstairs about whether or not they should challenge. And the decision is to challenge it for an uncalled hand pass, a missed stoppage. And it works. It works. It takes it from a 4-4 tie to a 4-3 lead for Toronto once again. And the Leafs play improved after that, and it felt like it took some of the air out of the tires for Calgary as well. 8:43 left. The Flames get a power play. That's killed off. Matthews was then denied as the Leafs press. With 1:59 left, the Leafs get a goalie pull. With 1:04 left, the Leafs get a power play. So they ride this one out on the power play. They win 4-3. They go to 22-13-8 with the win that Toronto desperately needed. Calgary 21-19-5 with the loss. And, again, with things as they are in the West, Calgary has to be careful because it's easy to drop out of the hunt. But they are the top team below the playoff line right now. Shots on net, 11-7 Calgary in the first, 17-10 Toronto in the second, 9-5 Toronto in the third. Nice shutdown third period for Toronto. They outshoot Calgary 33-26. Power plays 1 for 2 for Toronto, 1 for 3 for Calgary. Hits 17-16 for the Flames. Jones saved 23 out of 26, and Vladar saved 29 out of 33. So, yeah, pretty impressive road win for Toronto. It looked shaky at times, but in the third period, they did what they had to do. All right, next up. Last one on this board is Seattle and Edmonton. And I will agree with the comment I saw earlier today, which is, it's too bad Seattle's winning streak didn't come into this game. But at the same time, Edmonton was ready to shut things down. They're up to 12 in a row. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. Here we go. So, Decord versus Skinner. Early jump for the Oilers. Tolvanen has a shot that's held. We get a power play for Seattle. That's killed off. McDavid has a net drive that's saved. The shots are 5-4 Edmonton, 6 minutes in. Then McDavid draws a power play. That lasts 19 seconds as McDavid goes to the box. Whoops. And everything gets killed off. And then Tolvanen on a breakaway scores from Bjorkstrand at 9:47. Not long after that, at 13:32, McCann in alone too. He scores to make it 2-0 from Eberle and Gord, and it went off the back bar and out. So there was a delay with them calling it because it was in and out of the net so quickly. Oilers nearly answer next. Ryan has a rush chance that was defended, but it's 2-0 for Seattle after the first period. Early in the second period, Foegele buries a rebound. He scores from Draisaitl and Kane at 37 seconds. For Evander Kane, that's point number 599. McDavid goes to the box again, the Kraken to the power play. The Oilers really prevent a setup on that. There's not much for Seattle. It gets killed off. Dumoulin has a shot after that's held. We get a power play for the Oilers, and they score on it. It is Draisaitl from Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins at 4:38, and he buried it right after the other shot had hit the post. So again, goalie maybe a little bit out of position there. And then at 7:38, exactly 3 minutes later, Foegele puts Edmonton ahead. He scores from Draisaitl and Kane. So for Evander Kane, that is point number 600 in his career. We get a power play for Seattle. That's killed off. Like I said, everybody's hitting milestones right now. There's a lot of milestones. Shots are 8 apiece with 6.5 minutes left. The Oilers press. They're kept away from the net. Seattle scores, but there's an offside challenge, and yep, no goal. So it stays 3-2 Edmonton. Third period. Foegele has a shot that's held. There's a near miss for Hyman on a net drive. Shots on net are only 2 apiece at 5 minutes. Things get pushy on a hold by Skinner. Bouchard has a rush chance that's saved. We get a power play for Seattle. That's killed off. The Oilers press with 8.5 minutes left. With 3:34 left, there's a major penalty called, but there's also a minor on the Oilers, so it becomes a 3-minute power play for the Oilers, and they score on it at 17:21. Hyman scores from McDavid and Draisaitl to make it 4-2. The Kraken do kill the rest of that 3-minute power play. With 33 seconds left, they end up going on a power play. They make it a 6-on-4. But yeah, the Oilers hold on. They win this one 4-2. They go to 25-15-1. They are now third in the Pacific Division. For Seattle, they're 19-17-9 with the loss. And again, this one hurts. For Seattle, they're kind of watching as that spot in the playoffs that it looked like they were going to just steamroll to, kind of slipping away. This is 3 losses in a row. Shots on net, 12-10 Edmonton in the first, 13-10 Edmonton in the second, 11-7 Edmonton in the third. Pretty authoritative win. They outshoot Seattle 36-27. Power play, Seattle 0-for-5, Edmonton 2-for-5. Hits were 36-11 for Seattle because they didn't have the puck. Decord saves 32 out of 36. Skinner saved 25 out of 27 at the other end. And now I need to change boards. All right, final board, just the 3 games, starting with Nashville and LA. Power ranking spoiler, I did a market correction. Market correction is when I decide, okay, this team's just got to drop or this team has got to go way up. And the Kings, pretty big drop tonight. So at any rate, it was Saros versus Riddick. The Kings pressed at 1.5 minutes. Saros was really sharp early because the Kings had outshot Nashville 4-1 at 3 minutes. We get a power play for the Kings. Kopitar to Kempe, near miss there. Kempe fires one wide. It's cleared out. They didn't get a shot on net during that power play. It was killed off. Kings go back to the power play. That ends up being 50 seconds of 4-on-4 and then a Preds power play. That becomes 23 seconds of a 5-on-3. O'Reilly's denied the Preds cycle during the 5-on-4. The Kings kill it off. So it's scoreless after 1, but you could feel the momentum shift towards Nashville as the period went along. But in the second period, we have an early jump for the Kings. Then there's pressure by Nashville, 2.5 minutes. Kings draw a power play. Lauzon kind of lands on Byfield during that. Byfield seemed to be okay, but that was kind of a scary moment. Preds kill that off. So there's a press by the Kings after everything comes to an end. Then we get a power play for Nashville. There's a nice blocker save on Forsberg, but O'Reilly deflects in front of the net. It's in. Yossi and Sissons with the assists at 7:55. Nashville's open the scoring. They're up 1-0. The Kings then get a power play. They score on theirs as well. It is Doughty from Kempe and Fiala at 8:52, and it was bar down from the high slot. The fans call one. The referee doesn't, and not too long after that, some good forechecking by Gus Nyquist sets up a goal. The Gus Nyquist gets. He scores that one from Shannon O'Reilly at 13:40. Roy then has a net drive that's saved, and after the second period, it's 2-1. The Preds coming into today 16-3-1 if they're leading after 2. So third period, Lauzon has a shot that deflects out. Mask save then on Forsberg. Grunstrom has a rush chance that's saved. Then there's a blocker save on Roy that's cleared out. Shots are 4-3 for Nashville 5.5 minutes in. Kings press at the half. Danault to Fiala, near miss there. 9:21 left. The Kings draw a power play. That's killed off. Things get pushy around the net when Saros is holding on during the 6-on-5 after LA's pulled the goalie. And the Kings just denied repeatedly. Kopitar absolutely robbed. 1:21 left. Nashville with an icing. The Kings would call a timeout with 6 seconds left. They just couldn't solve Saros. Your final score is 2-1 for Nashville, who jumped past LA. LA is now the number 2 wild card in the West. So the Nashville Predators 25-19-1 with the win. The Kings 21-13-8 with the loss. Shots on net 11-8 Nashville in the first, 13-11 for LA both in the second and the third. They do outshoot Nashville 34-33. Power plays, Nashville 1 for 3, LA 1 for 5. The hits 28-15 Nashville. Saros saves 33 out of 34. Riddick 31 saves on 33 shots. It's not on David Riddick, it's just no goal support. So yeah, the Kings are definitely in trouble. All right, next up, Arizona and Vancouver. This is an ugly one. I'm going to be honest, this is an ugly one, and it felt like Arizona came in like, okay, you know, the Canucks are top in the West, and we just got to bring this game into the muck, and they did. So it's Ingram versus Demko. The shots are 1 apiece at 3 minutes. O'Brien decides he didn't like a Lafferty hit on Kesselring, so he tries to mug Lafferty, which means that the Canucks end up with a power play out of that, so all right. Pettersson to Besser near miss. Kuzmenko has a tip saved as it comes to an end. Kuzmenko didn't play at all in the third period. Just throwing that out there. I actually interpret it this way. You have a chance to preserve a lead. I don't think he trusts Kuzmenko when they were trying to preserve a lead. I really think that's what it is. Which, again, if that means that Kuzmenko ends up being traded, all right, but I think that's what it is. Coyotes press are kept to the outside. The shots are 7-2 for the Canucks with 9.5 minutes left. O'Brien fights Zadorov. Zadorov won that battle, so yeah, he cleaned O'Brien's clock. Zadorov's a very, very large person who I don't think I'd want to fight. I know I wouldn't want to fight with him. That's no. So the Canucks score, but there's a challenge that means it's not a goal, so there you go. The Canucks do not go up 1-0. There's a press by the Canucks with 7 minutes left. With 3:47 left, the Canucks get a power play, and off of a face-off, they score. It's Pettersson from Hughes and Miller at 16:49. However, Travis Dermott gets his first of the year, and it's against Vancouver, because of course it is. Kerfoot and Zucker with the assists at 18:40. He buries that one from the left circle. And I think Demko just wasn't tracking it. So it's 1-1 after one. Second period, early power play for the Coyotes. That's killed off. Dumba has a slapper that's held. The shots are 2-0 Arizona 3.5 minutes in. The Coyotes go back to the power play. That's killed off. There's a press by Arizona after it ends. In fact, the Canucks at this point in the game are over 13 minutes in between shots. So Cooley has a net drive that's saved. We get a power play for Vancouver. Pettersson fires one wide. Besser with a near miss. Power play's killed off, and then there was a dog pile after it was done on a hold by Ingram. The game really, really scrappy. I wasn't writing down every time that there was pushing on the whistle because it just would have filled the whole board. Vancouver gets a power play. They don't score on it, but shortly after it comes to an end, Dakota Joshua with his 12th of the season. He's looking like a 20-goal scorer this year. Hoglander and Bluger with the assists at 19:02, so that no-name line, getting it done. So that one wired from the side of the net after the power play ends, and I know that's not exactly the no-name line because you have Garland in there, but with the bottom six, they're just kind of interchangeable. It's kind of great. So it's 2-1 Vancouver after two. Third period. Net feed to Besser, near miss. And again, there's pushing and shoving on almost every whistle. Arizona clearly trying to knock Vancouver off their game and trying to keep this game in the muck. Brown has a shot that's saved as the Coyotes press. The Coyotes press again at 7 minutes. Things get pushy on a hold by Demko. Shots are only 2-1 at that point for Arizona. Coyotes have a 3-on-2. That misfires. We get a power play for the Canucks. That's killed off. Then Cooley somehow misses an open net. And then Bluger was denied on a turnover chance and close. That was just passed to him by Kesselring. You don't want to do that. The Coyotes press with 5 minutes left. Garland then has a rush chance. That's saved. The goalie pull happens with roughly a minute left. With 42.5 seconds left, Coyotes call a timeout. They do not tie the game. Vancouver holds on. They win 2-1. They go to 30-11-4. They have 64 points in 45 games. I don't know what's going on here. Arizona 21-19-3. It's an important game for them. They don't get the 2 points. Shots on net 14-4 Vancouver in the first, 10-6 Arizona in the second, 7-6 Arizona in the third. The shots are only 26-21 Vancouver. Power plays 0-2 for Arizona, 1-5 for Vancouver. Hits 22-20 for Vancouver. Ingram was very good, 24 saves on 26 shots. So was Demko, 20 saves on 21 shots. I was thinking about watching these games tonight, thinking, I should have a 90s magnet for when it's 3 goals or less in a game, but there might be a lot of those in the second half of the season, so I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that. All right, next up, last one on the night is the Rangers and the Vegas Golden Knights. And the Rangers are starting to look like there might need to be a bit of a market correction for them too. This streak they've been on of not necessarily playing great continues tonight. This is a Vegas team missing a lot of key players. Gutsy performances by Vegas recently, but yeah, they're missing a lot of guys. So Shesterkin versus Thompson in this one, an early chance for Goodrow is held. Teams exchanged rushes. Lafreniere and Trocheck were both robbed as Thompson had a great game. Stones then denied and close. It's cleared out, but the shots are 7-2 for the Rangers at 6.5 minutes. Rangers press at 8 minutes. They end up getting a power play. That's killed off. And then they just stopped getting shots as Vegas decided to get all the shots. At 11:35, Marchessault scores from Roy and Haig. And then at 14:48, Barbashev, it goes in off of his skate. Roy, I should say, and Marchessault. See, I got Roy and Roy on the same board. Yeah, that's that thing. Roy and Marchessault with the assists at 14:48. So they review it because it went in off his skate, but yeah, it counts. It wasn't a kicking motion. It was off the outside of the skate. That's one of the things to look at. If it's off the outside of the skate, there's no kick. It usually will count. So we get a power play for Vegas. That's killed off, but they're up 2-0 after the first, which is kind of a surprise considering the Rangers dominated a lot of the first half of that period. Second period, shots are 2-1 Rangers at 2.5 minutes. The Rangers press at 4 minutes. Keandre Miller fires one high. Vegas clears. Cooley's then denied from the slot. So again, the Rangers playing well. Vegas presses at 7.5 minutes. With 7 minutes left, the Rangers get some pressure. But with 3:29 left, Vegas gets a power play, and they score on it. It's Barbashev making it 3-0. Stone and Stevenson with the assists at 18:59. And then on a rush 25 seconds later, Kolasar scores to make it 4-0. Korzak and Howden with the assists with 30 seconds left. The Rangers get a power play. So that rolls over into the third period, and the Rangers do score on it. Zibanejad, it's deflected over to Zibanejad from Kreider, and Zibanejad buries it. Panarin with the secondary assist at 40 seconds, but it's 4-1, and you get the feeling Vegas isn't allowing 5 at home in this one. So the shots are 4-1 Rangers at 3 minutes. Dorofiev has a shot kicked aside. The Rangers press, but they're kept to the outside. We get a power play for Vegas. Barbashev has a one-timer that's saved. Remember, he was going for the hat trick. It was the night of hat tricks and all that. Kreider fires one wide. It's cleared out. 2:37 left. The Rangers with a power play. Kreider to Lafreniere gets blocked. And then Howden. It's a shorthanded empty net goal because they pull the goalie because why not? Howden gets the goal from Stone at 18:32. He used to play for the Rangers. And then Vegas finishes the kill, and they win this one 5-1. Vegas 26-14-5. Nice gutsy win for the Rangers. Tough loss tonight. They're 28-14-2 with the loss. Shots on net 11-10 Rangers in the first, 8-7 Rangers in the second, 11-9 Rangers in the third. They do outshoot Vegas 30-26. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3 hits. Both teams had 22. Shesterkin saves 21 out of 25. Thompson 29 saves on 30 shots. That's the kind of goaltending Vegas is going to be looking for from Thompson, at least until Hill gets back, and we don't know when Hill's going to be starting next. But when you're getting wins like this, you're probably pretty good. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.